The notification lit up my phone at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. I was lying in bed, scrolling through nothing important, when the message appeared. "Hey, I hope this doesn't seem forward, but I saw your profile and had to reach out. You have the most genuine smile I've seen in months." The profile picture showed a man in military dress uniform, dark hair, strong jawline, the kind of face that looked like it belonged on a recruitment poster. His name was Captain Derek Lawson. I stared at the message for a full minute. My dating life had been non-existent for 2 years. My last relationship ended badly, and I'd built walls so high I could barely see over them anymore. But something about his message felt different. It wasn't crude. It wasn't generic. It felt personal. My finger hovered over the keyboard. Every instinct told me to ignore it, to protect myself from another disappointment. Instead, I typed back, "That's sweet, thank you." I hit send before I could talk myself out of it. 3 dots appeared immediately. He was typing. My heart beat faster than it should have for a stranger on the internet. We talked until 3 a.m. that first night. He told me he was stationed overseas, somewhere he couldn't name because of security protocols. He'd been in the military for 8 years, worked his way up from enlisted to officer. He talked about the desert heat, the weight of responsibility, the loneliness of command. "Everyone sees the uniform," he wrote. "Nobody sees the person wearing it." I told him about my job as a 3rd-grade teacher, about my small apartment with the leaking faucet I kept meaning to fix, about how I'd moved to this city 3 years ago and still felt like an outsider. He listened in a way most people didn't. He asked follow-up questions. He remembered details from earlier in the conversation. By the time I finally said goodnight, my cheeks hurt from smiling. The next morning, I woke up to a message. "Good morning, beautiful." I couldn't stop thinking about our conversation. I read it 5 times before responding. Something warm and dangerous was blooming in my chest, something that felt like hope. 2 weeks passed in a blur of messages. We talked every day, sometimes for hours. He sent me photos of sunsets over the base, blurry shots of military vehicles in the distance, pictures of him in casual clothes, looking tired but handsome. I sent him photos of my classroom, my students' artwork, the stray cat that had started visiting my balcony. Our conversations deepened. He told me about losing his mother to cancer when he was 19, about how the military had saved him from spiraling into depression. I told him about my father leaving when I was 12, about the trust issues that came with watching your hero walk away. We shared wounds like trading cards, each revelation bringing us closer. Then one Thursday evening, his message tone changed. "I need to tell you something, and I need you to trust me." My stomach tightened. Those words never led anywhere good. "I've been scammed before," he continued. "Someone I trusted took advantage of my deployment, stole from me when I was vulnerable. I'm telling you this because I feel something real with you, and I need to know you're different." I reassured him for an hour that night. I promised I wasn't like whoever had hurt him before. I told him he could trust me, that what we had was real and worth protecting. The irony would hit me later, but in that moment, I meant every word. Our conversations became daily rituals. Good morning messages before my alarm even went off. Lunch break check-ins. Long evening calls where we talked about everything and nothing. He knew my coffee order, my favorite movies, the names of my difficult students. I knew his childhood dog's name, his fear of heights, the scar on his left shoulder from a training accident. My friends started noticing my constant phone checking. My coworker Bailey asked if I was seeing someone. "It's complicated," I said, which was the truth, but not the whole truth. How do you explain falling for someone you've never met? Someone whose voice you've never heard? Because base communication restrictions prevented phone calls? I pushed the doubts away. This felt real. He felt real. And for the first time in years, I felt like someone actually saw me. 3 weeks into our connection, the first request came. "I hate to ask this," his message read, "but I'm in a bind, and you're the only person I trust." My heart sank and soared simultaneously. He trusted me, but he needed something. "There's a medical supply I need urgently. The base clinic is out of stock, and I can't wait for the requisition to process. It's just $150, and I'll pay you back as soon as my next deposit clears." I stared at my phone. $150 wasn't a huge amount, But it wasn't nothing either. My teacher salary didn't leave much room for extras. But this was urgent. Medical. He needed help. I thought about all our conversations, all the vulnerability he'd shown me. He'd opened up about being scammed before. If I refused now, would he think I was like the others? Would I lose this connection that had become the brightest part of my days? My finger moved almost automatically to my banking app. "Send me the details," I typed. "I'll help you." The relief in his next message was palpable. "You're saving my life. I promise I'll make this up to you." I sent the money through an online transfer service. The confirmation email felt heavy in my inbox. $150 to someone I'd never met, for a medical emergency I couldn't verify, in a country I couldn't confirm. I closed my laptop and tried not to think about it. That night he sent me a photo. Him in uniform, smiling directly at the camera, holding a small handwritten sign that said, "Thank you, Angel." My name was on it. My doubts evaporated like morning fog. This was real. He was real. We were real. "I can't wait to meet you in person," he messaged. "When my deployment ends in 3 months, I'm coming straight to you. I'm going to take you to dinner, hold your hand, and show you what it means to be cherished." I cried reading those words. Happy tears, the kind I hadn't shed in years. My roommate knocked on my door. "You okay in there?" "Yeah," I called back. "Just really, really happy." I didn't tell her about the money. I didn't tell anyone. This was ours, private and precious, something the outside world wouldn't understand. The second request came 10 days later. "I feel terrible asking again," he wrote. "But there's a situation, and I don't know who else to turn to." This time it was $400. Equipment fees for a specialized communication device he needed for an upcoming mission. Without it, he might not be able to contact me for weeks, maybe months. The amount made my breath catch. $400 was my grocery budget for 6 weeks. It was the amount I'd been saving for new tires. But the thought of losing contact with him, of going weeks without hearing from him, felt unbearable. "I know it's a lot," he continued, "and I hate myself for asking, but you're my lifeline here. You're what keeps me sane in this chaos." I looked at my bank account. I had $1,847 in savings. Money I'd scraped together over 2 years of careful budgeting. I thought about my father, about how he'd taught me never to lend money you couldn't afford to lose. But this wasn't lending, this was helping the person I loved. Yes, loved. I could admit it now, at least to myself. "I'll send it today," I typed. My friend Bailey noticed something was off during lunch. "You've been distracted for weeks," she said, stealing a fry from my tray, "and you keep checking your phone like you're waiting for test results." I forced a smile. "Just talking to someone." "Someone?" Her eyebrows rose. "Like a someone? I wanted to tell her everything. About Derek, about our connection, about the future we were planning. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the way he'd said our relationship should stay between us for now, that military regulations about fraternization made things complicated. Or maybe it was the small voice in the back of my mind that whispered I was being stupid, reckless, naive. "It's new," I said finally. "I don't want to jinx it." Bailey studied my face. "Just be careful, okay? You're one of the kindest people I know, and sometimes that makes you an easy target." Her words stung more than they should have. "I'm being careful," I lied. That night, Derek messaged asking about my day. I didn't mention the conversation. I didn't mention the growing pile of bills on my counter, or the anxiety that woke me at 3 a.m. 3 days before payday, Derek's message came through at 6 a.m. "Emergency. Please call me when you wake up." My heart hammered as I typed back. "What's wrong? Are you okay?" The reply took 5 minutes that felt like hours. "I'm in serious trouble. There's been an incident and I need $800 immediately or I could face a court-martial. I know this is huge and I'm so sorry, but I have nowhere else to turn." $800. I didn't have $800. I had $347 in checking and what was left in savings after the previous transfers. "What kind of incident?" I asked. "I can't explain everything over message. Just trust me. Please. This could end my career. Maybe worse." The desperation in his words terrified me. I thought about him in a military prison, his life destroyed, all because I didn't help when he needed me most. I opened my banking app with shaking hands. I could pull from savings. I could skip this month's car insurance payment. I could eat rice and eggs for 2 weeks. How do I send it? I asked. The transfer went through at 7:23 a.m. I watched my savings account drop to $189 and felt physically sick. I just sent $800 to prevent a crisis I didn't understand to a person I'd never met. I called in sick to work and spent the day in bed, staring at the ceiling. That evening, Derek's messages were full of gratitude and relief. You saved my life. I can't believe how lucky I am to have found you. But something felt different now. The warmth I usually felt reading his words had been replaced by a cold, creeping dread. I pulled up his profile again, really looking at his photos for the first time in weeks. The uniform photo looked slightly off, the resolution too perfect, almost stock photo quality. I reverse image searched it on my laptop. My hands went numb. The same photo appeared on 17 different websites, romance scam warning sites, articles about military impersonation fraud. My Derek's face, attached to different names, different stories, different victims. I slammed my laptop shut, heart racing. No, there had to be an explanation. Someone must have stolen his photos. This happened to real soldiers all the time, right? I didn't message him that night. For the first time in weeks, I left his messages unread. I lay awake until dawn, my mind spinning through every conversation, every request, every moment I'd felt seen and special. Had any of it been real? At 6 a.m., my phone buzzed. Are you okay? You didn't respond last night, and I'm worried. The concern in his words almost broke me. I wanted so badly to believe. I wanted to ignore the image search, the warnings, the sick feeling in my stomach. I'm fine, I typed. Just had a rough day. Want to talk about it? No, I wanted to scream. I want you to be real. I want the last month of my life to mean something. Instead, I wrote, that photo you sent of yourself in uniform, when was it taken? The pause before his response felt eternal. A few months ago. Why? Can you send me another one, maybe with today's date written on paper? Another pause. We're not allowed to take photos with dates or identifying information, security protocols. Of course. Always an explanation. Always a reason I couldn't verify anything. He disappeared for 24 hours. No messages, no explanation, just silence. I called his profile 17 times, always straight to a generic voicemail. I messaged repeatedly. Where are you? Are you okay? Please just tell me you're safe. Nothing. I couldn't eat. I couldn't focus. I cried in the school bathroom during lunch while Bailey covered my class. What if something had happened to him? What if the emergency had escalated? What if I'd questioned him and caused him to pull away right when he needed me most? At 9:47 p.m. the next day, a message finally came through. I'm so sorry. Complete communications blackout for a classified operation. I couldn't warn you. It killed me knowing you were worried. Relief flooded through me, washing away the suspicions like a wave erasing footprints. He was safe. He was back. He had a legitimate reason. I thought something terrible had happened, I wrote. I'm just glad you're okay. Your messages kept me going, he replied, knowing you were waiting for me. The doubts retreated. Maybe I'd been paranoid. Maybe the stress was making me see threats that didn't exist. 2 weeks later, a new request arrived. My sister's son is sick. He needs surgery, and the family can't afford it. I know this isn't my emergency, but he's only 7 years old, and I can't just do nothing. He sent me a photo of a child in a hospital bed, tubes and monitors surrounding a small, pale face. My heart shattered looking at it. How much do they need? I asked, already knowing I'd send whatever he said. The surgery costs $1,200. I can cover $600 from my account, but I can't access it until next week because of a banking freeze. If you could cover the other half, I'll pay you back plus the other amounts I owe you. $1,200 total. $600 from me. I had $189 in savings and $412 in checking. I'd have to use my credit card. I'd have to go into debt for a child I'd never met, related to a man I'd never touched. Send me the hospital information, I typed. I'll figure it out. I charged $600 to my Visa, watching my available credit drop and feeling my future narrow. But what choice did I have? A child's life was at stake. The credit card statement arrived the same week my car broke down. I sat in my apartment, looking at the numbers, doing math that didn't work. Minimum payment, $89. Car repair estimate, $450. Rent due in 12 days, $875. Current bank balance, $127. I messaged Derek that night. I can't send any more money. I'm sorry, but I'm financially tapped out. I need to take care of my own bills for a while. The response took 3 hours. When it came, the tone had shifted. I understand you have your own life. I just thought what we had meant more than money. The guilt hit like a fist. It does mean more than money. That's not what I'm saying. Then what are you saying? That when things get hard, you bail? That I can't count on you? I stared at the messages, tears blurring the screen. How had I become the bad person in this scenario? I've sent you over $1,500 in 3 weeks. I'm not bailing, I'm drowning. Forget I asked, he wrote. I'll figure it out myself, like always. The silence that followed felt like punishment. Like I'd failed some test I didn't know I was taking. He didn't message for 2 days. I apologized 3 times, explaining my financial situation, begging him to understand. When he finally responded, it was with a photo. A little girl, maybe 5 years old, with tears streaming down her face. My niece. She misses her dad, my brother who died in combat. The family needs $300 for his memorial stone, but I understand if that's not important to you. The manipulation was so obvious I should have seen it clearly. But guilt and love and fear tangled together into a knot I couldn't unpick. I looked at my credit card. I had $1,000 lender dollars left in available credit. I looked at the photo of the crying child. I thought about Derek, alone and unsupported, thinking I didn't care. I sent the $300. When the confirmation went through, I threw up in my bathroom sink. Something was catastrophically wrong, and I couldn't stop it. That night, I logged into my bank account to check something and saw a notification. Unusual activity detected. Please verify recent transactions. My hands shook, clicking through the alert. There were withdrawal attempts I hadn't made. Small amounts, $23, $47.56, all declined due to insufficient funds. Someone had my account information. Someone was trying to drain what little I had left. I spent the next 3 hours down a research rabbit hole. I searched military romance scam, online dating fraud, fake soldier scam. The stories were everywhere. Hundreds of them. Thousands. Women who'd sent money to men in uniform who didn't exist. Women who'd lost tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands. The patterns were identical. Messages from deployed soldiers, urgent financial emergencies, sick relatives, equipment fees, medical supplies, promises of love and future meetings that never materialized. I found a forum for scam victims and created an anonymous account. I think I'm being scammed, I typed, but I don't know how to be sure. Responses came within minutes. Does he claim to be military? Has he asked for money multiple times? Have you ever video called? Does he have reasons why you can't verify his identity? Yes, yes, no, yes. I clicked on the attached resources, a list of common scammer photos stolen from real soldiers and recycled across hundreds of fake profiles. I uploaded Derek's photos with shaking hands. Match, match, match. Every single photo he'd sent me belonged to a real army captain named Troy Brennan, who'd publicly posted warnings about his images being used in romance scams. I messaged him at 11 p.m. My hands were steady now, emptied of emotion. I know you're not who you say you are. The response was immediate. What are you talking about? Why would you say something like that? Your photos belong to someone else, Captain Troy Brennan. He's a real soldier who's been warning people about scammers using his pictures. The typing indicator appeared and disappeared 3 times. Then, I can't believe you're doing this. After everything we've shared, you're listening to internet conspiracy theories? Send me a video, right now. Show your face and say my name. You know I can't. Communications restrictions. Then send a photo with today's date and a specific phrase I'll give you. This is insulting. You're treating me like a criminal. His messages kept coming, each one angrier than the last. I opened my heart to you. I trusted you with things I've never told anyone. And this is how you repay me? By accusing me of being a scammer? By throwing our entire relationship away because of some Google search? The gaslighting was textbook. I knew that now. But knowing didn't stop it from working. Doubt crept back in. What if I was wrong? I woke up the next morning to find myself blocked. His profile was gone. All our message history deleted. The only evidence of our entire relationship was my bank statements showing transfer after transfer to someone whose real name I'd never known. I called the online transfer service. I need to report fraud. The customer service representative was kind but firm. Unfortunately, if you authorize the transfers, there's no fraud claim we can process. You sent the money willingly. But he lied about who he was. He pretended to be someone else. That's a matter for law enforcement, not our company. I'm sorry. I hung up and sat in silence. I'd lost $2,450 to a person who didn't exist. I'd maxed out my credit card. I'd nearly had my bank account compromised. And I had absolutely no recourse. My roommate found me crying on the kitchen floor at 2 p.m., still in my pajamas. "What happened?" she asked, crouching beside me. I told her everything. Every message, every request, every warning sign I'd ignored. She didn't say, "I told you so." She just held me while I sobbed. "We're going to fix this," she said. "But first, we're reporting him." I spent the next week documenting everything. I took screenshots of what remained in my email confirmations. I wrote down every detail I could remember. Dates, amounts, the stories he'd told, the names he'd mentioned. I reported the profile to the platform, though it had already vanished. I filed a complaint with the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center. I knew the chances of recovering my money were essentially zero. But I needed to do something. I needed to take back some scrap of control. My bank froze my account and issued new cards after the unauthorized access attempts. Bailey started a small collection at work without asking me, telling people I'd had a family emergency. When she handed me the envelope with $380 inside, I cried for 20 minutes in the teacher's lounge. I started seeing a therapist. The first session, I could barely speak. "I feel so stupid," I finally managed. "Stupid people don't seek help," she said. "You were manipulated by someone who does this professionally. That doesn't make you stupid, it makes you human." But being human felt like the worst thing I could be. 3 weeks after the blocking, I got a message from a new profile. Different name, different photo, same opening line, almost word for word. "I hope this doesn't seem forward, but I saw your profile and had to reach out." My blood ran cold, then hot, then cold again. I stared at the message for a full minute. Then I screenshot it. I'd found my way to an online group dedicated to tracking and exposing romance scammers. They'd taught me the signs, the patterns, the ways to set traps. I created a fake profile using a stock photo and a fabricated backstory. I messaged him back from this new identity. "That's so sweet. I love meeting new people." The conversation that followed was nearly identical to the one I'd had months earlier. The same deployment story, the same lonely soldier narrative, even some of the same phrases. I documented everything with cold precision. Every message, every inconsistency, every request that would inevitably come. This time, I wasn't the victim. I was the investigator. And I was building a case that would expose him for exactly what he was. The first money request to my fake profile came exactly 12 days in. I hate to ask, but I'm in a bind with a medical situation. I screenshot it immediately and posted it to the scam tracking group. Within an hour, 3 other women confirmed they'd received identical messages from profiles with different names, but the same patterns. We compared notes, built timelines, tracked the money transfer accounts he used. The sophisticated network of fake identities stretched back years. We found women who'd lost 6 figures, women who'd mortgaged their homes. One woman had been scammed twice by the same person using different personas. I messaged him from my fake profile. "Of course I'll help. How much do you need?" Then I sent the screenshots to every scam warning site I could find. I wanted his methods exposed. I wanted future victims to Google his exact phrases and find warnings. I wanted to take every weapon he'd used against me and turn it into ammunition. The reply came within minutes. "You're an angel. Just $200 for urgent medical supplies." I smiled at my phone, a genuine smile for the first time in weeks. "Actually," I typed back, "I'm a survivor." I wrote everything down, 5,000 words detailing every conversation, every manipulation tactic, every red flag I'd missed or ignored. I posted it anonymously to a forum for scam victims, titled simply, "How I Lost $2,450 to a Fake Soldier." The responses came within hours. "This is my exact story, different name. Thank you for sharing. I was falling for the same scam. You just saved me from sending money." Women commented with their own experiences. The amounts varied. Some had lost hundreds, others tens of thousands, but the emotional damage was universal. Shame, anger. the grinding humiliation of having your heart weaponized against your bank account. I stopped feeling alone in my stupidity. I'd been targeted by a professional criminal who exploited human connection for profit. That wasn't a character flaw. It was a crime. The post went viral in the small community of scam awareness sites. News outlets started reaching out, asking if I'd be willing to share my story publicly. I hesitated for 2 days. Then I thought about the woman who might be talking to Derek right now, feeling special and seen, about to send her first payment. He never contacted me again from any profile I could identify. My fake profile received a few more messages before going silent. He'd either caught on to the trap or moved to easier targets. I hoped it was the former. I hoped he spent at least one night worried that his methods were being documented and exposed. My bank account slowly recovered. I picked up summer tutoring jobs. Bailey helped me create a budget to tackle the credit card debt. The $2,450 would take 18 months to repay, but I had a plan now. Control over something. The therapist helped me understand that I hadn't been stupid or weak. I'd been lonely, which is a fundamentally human condition, and someone had exploited that with professional-level manipulation. "You're not the villain of this story," she told me. "Stop casting yourself as one." But some nights, lying awake at 2 a.m., I still felt the shame burning through me. Not for being scammed, for how desperately I'd wanted to believe, for how willing I'd been to ignore red flags because the alternative was facing my loneliness head-on. Recovery wasn't linear. Some days I felt strong. Other days I saw a man in uniform and felt sick. 6 months later, I recorded a video for my YouTube channel. I'd started it as a way to process everything, sharing my experience and warning others about the specific tactics used against me. The first video got 43 views. The second got 200. The third went viral. Sitting in my small apartment, makeup-free and exhausted, I told my story. I showed the screenshots I'd saved. I explained the emotional manipulation, the isolation tactics, the escalating requests. I named the warning signs: reluctance to video call, urgent financial emergencies, stories designed to trigger specific emotions. The video hit 100,000 views in 3 days. The comments section became a support group. "This happened to me and I've never told anyone. You just stopped me from sending $500. Thank you for having the courage to speak up." Other scam survivors started sending me their stories. I created a resource list, reporting agencies, support groups, financial recovery programs. What started as my personal humiliation became something larger, a community, a movement, a way to turn pain into purpose, just like every other aspect of healing I'd stumbled through. I still think about Derek sometimes. Not the real person behind the profile, I'll never know who that was, but the character I fell in love with, the version of myself who believed in him. She was naive, yes, desperate for connection, but she was also hopeful and open and willing to trust despite past hurts. I don't want to kill that version of myself entirely. I just want to protect her better. My YouTube channel now has 47,000 subscribers. I get messages daily from people sharing their stories, asking for advice, thanking me for making them feel less alone. The financial damage took 2 years to fully repair, but the emotional healing is ongoing. I went on my first real date last month. Coffee with someone I met through a friend, verified and vetted and wonderfully, boringly real. When he reached for the check, I had a moment of panic. Was this transactional? Was I being manipulated? Then he smiled and said, "Next one's on you," and the panic faded. I'm learning to trust again. Slowly, carefully, with my eyes wide open. The story of my scam isn't a tragedy anymore. It's a testimony. Proof that you can be broken by betrayal and still choose to help others avoid the same fate. Every video I post, every person I help, every scammer I expose, it's my way of taking back what was stolen, not the money. The belief that being vulnerable makes you a victim. Sometimes it makes you a survivor. Sometimes it makes you strong. My name is Claire, and this is my story.